All right, also in the AFC North, you've got the team that nobody is paying attention to, the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe Mixon, who has become a very good running back in only a couple of years in the NFL. He entered with some controversy after the way things happened for him in Oklahoma with that vicious punch. I think the day he arrived on campus, there was a female he was arguing with, and the cameras caught him just like a Ray Rice-style knockout punch. And he's overcome that. He's stayed out of trouble. And he believes the Bengals are going to surprise a lot of people this year. And you know what? I'm not ready to sign on to it. It won't shock me if it happens, because one of the key ingredients in being a team that can maybe surprise people is being overlooked, being a team that you get a chip on your shoulder about that. Guys start working harder, and also they don't have the burden of the extra pressure that comes from being a darling like the Browns do. It's right. You can get your guys amply pissed off, and also they don't get swollen heads until they start winning football games. And it won't surprise me if the Bengals are better than we expect them to be, just because we have no expectations for the Bengals this year.
You're right, but I think they're on that short list of teams that I would have at least written down in a corner in a notebook somewhere to go, ooh, watch out. These could be the surprise teams of football. I know you and I both like the Jets and Bills along that lines. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars would be a team where I'd go watch out for them this year. And the Cincinnati Bengals.
But that won't be a surprise.
No,
if that happens.
I know, but some people, I have friends ask me, who should I watch out for this year? And I go, well, I'd watch out for Jacksonville. I know it's maybe not for you and me, because we're in the woods, in the weeds with football all day long, and we get it. But I think some people in the public have forgot about it. So I know, but I'm just saying those are the teams I would say to watch out for big turnarounds from where they were last year. This Bengals team, three things that jump out to me. First of all, overlooked, like you said, certainly can play into, okay, we want to prove people wrong. New energy in the building. That's a real thing. When you got a new head coach, new bosses, new people, it's fresh, it feels good. You want to impress your new bosses. So everything's kind of tightened up that way. That can lead to more wins. And the bottom line is the Bengals have some talent at some key positions. I mean, they got weapons on offense. They got a playoff quarterback. They've improved their O-line. They got Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap and Dre Kirkpatrick and William Jackson, who I think is one of the 5 or 6 best corners in football. So, yeah, I would not be shocked if there is certainly a pain in the butt to most teams in the AFC.
We talked about this during the show today as it relates to between the Jets and Bills, whether one of those two teams can rise up and contend for a wild card berth. What a scramble it is going to be.
Right?
I mean, you could make an argument that any of the 4 AFC North teams, or at least any of the 3 that don't win the division, will be in the mix for wild card berths. Any of the 3 teams in the AFC South that don't win the division can be in the mix for wild card berths. AFC West, between the Broncos and the Raiders, I feel like one of them is not going to be as bad as they were last year.
Right.
You throw them in with the Raiders, or the Chargers, and the Chiefs. It's not enough playoff spots to go around. They're talking about expanding the playoff field. Maybe they should, right? Maybe it should go to 16 teams or at least 14 teams, because there's a lot of good teams out there that aren't going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of good teams out there that aren't going to make it to the playoffs as of June. What is this today's date? June 11th. So, and I know you and I, we're excited about a lot of teams, outlook and what it looks like on paper. But, yeah, we got to see what it looks like. But you're right. It seems like the AFC, at the very least, has unbelievable quarterback play. That's where I look at the AFC. Young quarterbacks, old quarterbacks, they got it all. And, yeah, I mean, we didn't even go into the AFC East with, the Bills and Josh Allen and Sam Darnold. Okay, those are 2 guys we could go, they explode onto the scene this year. All of a sudden, those teams are back in the playoff conversation. So, should be a fun year. I think we all know who the lead dog is in the house in New England. It's just going to be who's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 after that.
But you're right. Here's what happens. And the biggest factor is injury. We don't know who, we don't know when, we don't know how long they're going to be out, we don't know how the replacement's going to do, but injuries will dramatically alter the fortunes of some of these teams that we look at right now as being good teams.
Right.
And by Halloween was like, yeah, forget it. That team isn't. So it works itself out. And I've said this recently. If every team had Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and the rest of the Patriots roster, there would still be a team that's 12-4 and a team that's 4-12, because the bounce of the ball is going to determine a lot of the outcomes of these games. Injuries, luck, bad calls.
Right.
That's
Momentum,
how sometimes good teams separate from bad teams. And it can still be a good team at 6-10, but your record says you're a bad team. So I don't care how good you think you are.
Right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.